Hello and welcome to New York's Penn Station. Today we're riding from the Big Apple to the Big Easy, traveling 1,400 miles from New York to New Orleans on board Amtrak's Crescent. Our adventure begins, as many do here in the Northeast, at New York's Penn Station in Amtrak's Moynihan train hall. Opened on January 1st of 2021, the 486,000 square foot complex occupies the James A. Farley building, the space once used as New York City's main post office. Front and center is the main concourse. The 31,000 square foot hall is home to Amtrak and the Long Island Railroad, with access to tracks 5 through 16, all housed under a massive skylight in the ceiling above. Sleeper and first class tickets on same-day Amtrak services come with complimentary access to lounges across the Northeast. Same day in this case means that even if your travel is scheduled for much later in the day, or if you just arrived at your destination, Amtrak will still grant you access to their lounges. Entrance is also granted to passengers with Amtrak Select Plus or Select Executive Reward status. The Metropolitan Lounge at Moynihan Train Hall is the newest addition to Amtrak's roster and is by far the nicest along the corridor. The lounge offers ample space to sit and relax or get some work done, with free Wi-Fi for all passengers and a business center for those who need it. While all of Amtrak's Metropolitan lounges offer food service of some kind, the lounge in New York is the only one to feature a full-service bar with fresh food. The bar offers a number of hot and cold food options and plenty of drinks to choose from. The lunch selection is a little more limited than breakfast, though the options rotate throughout the day. A self-service station is also available with coffee, tea, and light snacks for the taking. I grabbed a light lunch of a veggie wrap and a Southwest chicken sandwich, the latter of which comes piping hot from a fresh batch. Now, under normal circumstances, I'd spend my time in the lounge today relaxing, but why don't we make it productive by knocking out a few language lessons from today's sponsor, Babbel. Traveling the world is often a daunting task when you don't know the local language, but with Babbel, you'll start speaking your target language in as little as 3 weeks. Learn any of Babbel's many languages such as French, German, Italian, Spanish, and more. Babbel is one of the top language learning apps in the world. They're easy to understand and intuitive lessons carefully crafted by over 650 language experts will have you learning the basics of conversation in no time. And you'll learn words and phrases you'll actually use, like, where is the toilet? Où sont les toilettes? Or, excuse me, on what track is the 12 o'clock TGV for Paris? Excusez-moi, sur quelle voie passe le TGV de 12 heures pour Paris? Whether you're planning to travel to a new country this summer, connecting with a relative or friend, furthering professional communication skills, or just wanting to learn for the sake of self-improvement, Babbel is a great place to start. I recently began using Babbel to brush up on my French before I head to Lyon in a few months. The bite-sized lessons fit perfectly into my busy schedule and make learning fun and engaging. And through the QR code or link in the description, Babbel is offering 60% off your subscription. And if you're not satisfied, Babbel offers a 20-day money-back guarantee. Thank you, or should I say merci beaucoup, to Babbel for sponsoring today's video. 25 minutes before departure, we're called from the lounge for priority boarding, a member of staff escorting us from the lounge out to track 13. Descending to the platforms, we meet Amtrak's Crescent. The Crescent today is made up of 3 Amfleet 2 coach cars, a single Amfleet 2 cafe, 2 Viewliner 1 sleepers, and a Viewliner 2 combination bag dorm sleeper. Right as we're about to board, Acela 2252 pulls in on track 12. Currently the only high-speed train in America, Amtrak's Acela connects Washington, D.C. and Boston at 150 miles per hour. The crew change is quick for train 2252, the Acela set pulling out for the second half of its journey north. Turning back to the Crescent, it's time to board our sleeper. We'll be staying in room 3 aboard car 1911, the second Viewliner 1 sleeper on today's train. Climbing aboard, we head down the narrow corridor to find room 3, our home for the next day and a half. With the coach passengers yet to board, there's plenty of time to take a look at our route down to New Orleans. Our journey on Amtrak's Crescent begins with a swift ride down the northeast corridor, reaching speeds of up to 110 miles per hour along Amtrak's busiest rail line. After an engine swap in Washington, D.C., the Crescent continues under diesel power. Dinner on day 1 comes as we approach Charlottesville, Virginia, the Crescent crossing into North Carolina through the dead of night. North Carolina and South Carolina are traversed almost entirely overnight, with the sun greeting us in Atlanta at the start of day 2. Birmingham is our next major stop, the Crescent meandering through Tuscaloosa and across the state border, Meridian the first of 4 stops in Mississippi. The sun sets as we cross through Mississippi, Hattiesburg the last daylight stop. The Crescent reaches its final state of Louisiana just after nightfall, crossing the Lake Pontchartrain Railroad trestle before winding around the city center to arrive at New Orleans Union Passenger Terminal. We'll cover a total of 1,377 miles on our adventure, with a travel time of 31 hours and 47 minutes. Departure from New York City is right on time, our train departing west via the Hudson River tunnels. Almost immediately after exiting the tunnels, we cross the 114-year-old Portal Bridge. The bridge is notorious for causing massive delays, whether that be by getting stuck open or limiting trains to 60 miles per hour when in operation. The replacement structure Portal North Bridge has just ticked over the 50% completion mark. The majority of the base structures are complete, with the first steel girders placed on top to form the basis of the bridge deck. The fixed-span bridge will increase top speeds from 60 to 90 miles per hour and is expected to be completed sometime in 2027.
That's cool.
Newark is our first of 2 New Jersey stops today, the tracks in between allowing us to reach our top speed of 110 miles per hour. As we accelerate, we pass Metuchen Station, with Spencer Adams again out on the platform to catch us passing by. The speeds continue to climb, our train easily reaching 110 as we fly past Princeton Junction. And of course, we've got a spot from Steve of how we get around. At high speeds, the rugged terrain of the Northeast Corridor becomes increasingly noticeable, with the bumps amplified by the older suspension of our Viewliner 1. While the bumps are quite consistent, every third or fourth bump will cause the upper bed to jump and slam back into the locks, which is unbelievably annoying. Trenton, our second stop in New Jersey, flashes by in just a few short minutes before we set our sights on Philadelphia. Just before arriving in Philly, we pass Race Street Yard and Amtrak's ever-growing fleet of Alstom Avelia Liberty high-speed trains. These new high-speed trains will reach a top speed of 160 miles per hour on existing Northeast Corridor infrastructure, with an officially rated top speed of 220 miles per hour. Their entry into service has been delayed due to multiple issues from manufacturer Alstom, the last of which were cleared only just this year. Testing has ramped up as of late, with service expected to begin in late 2024. The cloud cover parts as we depart Philadelphia, the gray weather replaced by blue skies for the final part of our run on the Northeast Corridor. Wilmington and the waters of the Bush and Gunpowder Rivers swiftly pass by outside our sleeper window, the high spring sun reflecting off the surface. We're approaching DC before we know it, the Crescent coming to a halt in the nation's capital. Washington, D.C. marks the transition point for trains continuing south, where they must switch from electric to diesel power as the electrification of the Northeast Corridor ends here. Today's engine swap is executed with remarkable efficiency. Our electric ACS-64 is practically disconnected by the time we reach the front. As soon as it's disconnected, Locomotive 615 pulls forward and away from Train 19, making room for our two diesel locomotives to take the lead. Assuming control from 615 are GE Genesis P42DC number 87 and one of Amtrak's new Siemens ALC 42s number 344. The duo back down track 25 and seamlessly couple on to the Crescent. I said, the pair couple on to the Crescent. Maybe I didn't make myself clear. I said, and the pair couple on to the Crescent. Third time's the charm. Ascending the stairs, we witness Locomotive 629 hauling Train 87 into DC, mirroring our departure. The setting sun makes for a stunning backdrop as we depart DC, the Washington Monument and Jefferson Memorial visible from the bridge over the Potomac. And to complete the view, a WMATA subway train makes its way across the parallel bridge. Dinner is the first meal served on the Crescent as it heads south from New York. For the first of two dinners, I opted for the chicken enchiladas. Amtrak's Crescent offers a flexible dining menu with 5 options for lunch and dinner. Each meal comes with a side salad, a roll, and a choice of either a brownie or a butter cake for dessert. The enchiladas are one of the 3 flex meals I've found to be consistently tasty. The Mexican spices in the dish are always flavorful, and while the presentation might not be perfect, the chicken enchiladas are a great choice. Sleeper passengers also receive 1 complimentary alcoholic beverage with dinner, and tonight we enjoyed a classic rum and coke. It is worth noting that as of June 1st of 2024, the dining car has been added back to the Crescent. The car will still serve flexible dining for at least the next few months, with Amtrak expecting traditional dining to return to the Crescent by next year. As we dine, the sun disappears behind the cloud cover along the horizon, the evening twilight fading as we approach our second fresh air break in Charlottesville, Virginia. Charlottesville marks the last extended stop for the Crescent on day 1 of our journey. By this point, we're running about 30 minutes behind schedule, but we'll make up that time as we continue into North Carolina. The cool evening air is refreshing after many hours on board, though we don't get to enjoy it for long. Our 10-minute stopover passes in what feels like an instant, and the crew calls for all aboard ahead of our 9:30 departure. Leaving Charlottesville, our car attendant comes by to set up our bed for the night. The conversion process is impressively quick, transforming the space into a cozy bunk in just a few minutes. The bottom bunk spans about 6.5 feet, or the entire length of the roomette, which is approximately 200 centimeters for those using the metric system. The bunk is formed of the lower seats with an added mattress topper for extra comfort. To accommodate the staircase to the upper bunk, the rear-facing seat has been shaved down by about 4 inches. This modification means there's only one sleeping orientation possible in Viewliner roomettes. Despite this, I've never had any trouble getting a good night's sleep. Climbing under the covers, I look forward to yet another restful night on board Amtrak. The morning twilight peeks in through the curtains as we awake on day 2. It's about 7:30 a.m., our train having just departed Gainesville, Georgia. Our travels overnight brought us past Virtual Railfan's Thomasville livestream, the camera catching us flying past and on into the night. First on the agenda today is breakfast. Our car attendant took our breakfast order last night after turning down our room, which comes delivered a few minutes after waking up. For breakfast today, I went with Amtrak's 3-egg omelet, which comes with a small side of potatoes and chicken sausage links. Drinks are also complimentary during dining, a cup of coffee my choice this early in the morning. The omelet, as many prepackaged omelets tend to be, is a little on the wet side, but it's fine in terms of taste. The potatoes are also a bit soggy, but the spices they've been cooked in are flavorful, as are the chicken sausage links. While it doesn't look the part by any means, it's fine for a filling morning breakfast. If the omelet isn't your style, then Flexible Dining also offers buttermilk pancakes or a continental selection. As we wrap up breakfast, the suburban landscape of northwest Atlanta rolls into view. Atlanta is our first fresh air break on day 2, and somehow we're 14 minutes early. With plenty of time on our hands, we can head up the train to take a look at our leading locomotives. P42 DC number 60 leads train 19 to New Orleans, ALC 42 number 344 running second in command. The early morning sun illuminates Midtown Atlanta in the bustling morning rush, but the platform remains in shadow cast by train 19. Behind the 2 locomotives are the 3 Amfleet 2 coach cars, each a long-distance variant of Amtrak's Amfleet 1 intercity cars. Behind them is a cafe, and then the sleepers. The Viewliner 1s are the older of the 2 single-level sleepers operated by Amtrak. Built in 1995 and 96, the V1s sport Amtrak's Phase 4 livery, the paint for which is now cracking all over from its 2 decades of use. Unlike the Viewliner 2s, these older cars don't include names, with each plaque instead displaying its corresponding stock number. Our car to New Orleans is 62046, one of the last 4 manufactured in 1996. Ascending the stairs, the Crescent departs Atlanta right on time. Before we get our day started, I need another cup of coffee. At the end of our sleeper, we find the drink station, where a fresh pot of coffee has been brewed by our car attendant. The coffee is complimentary, as are the bottles of water in the sink. Atlanta may not be a rail hub for passenger trains, but it certainly is for freight. Departing Peachtree Station, we pass a slow-crawling Norfolk Southern manifest train before skirting around the edge of Norfolk Southern's Inman Yard. About 45 minutes after departing Atlanta, we find ourselves crossing through Austell, Georgia, home of yet another Virtual Railfan railcam. From the window, we see the tracks split, our camera trained on the Cincinnati Junction sign, and the cameras just below it. Pulling up the stream, we find exactly what we're looking for, a great shot of our train passing by, horns and all. If you're enjoying our ride on Amtrak's Crescent, why not hit that subscribe button? It's totally free and it really helps support the channel. If you want to go the extra mile with your support, then check out the channel's Patreon or become a channel member. If you too want your name in the video or just want to support the channel in more ways than one, then head on over to the links in the description below. With our day now well underway, let's take a tour of our Viewliner 1 roomette. The roomette is the smallest accommodation on board any Amtrak sleeper train at 3.5 by 6.5 feet or 200 by 100 centimeters. While each roomette is advertised as having enough space for 2 adults, it's really only large enough to fit 1 comfortably. These older coaches are certainly showing their age. The blue Amtrak fabric has faded, the walls and rather nasty carpet not doing the elderly coaches any favor. The door is still smooth, the lock latching into place easily. Each roomette includes 2 windows to the central hallway with curtains to cover both for privacy. Each roomette's daytime configuration includes 2 comfortable lounge chairs. The width difference between the 2 seats is extremely evident from our perch in the rafters. The forward seat or captain's chair is about 4 inches wider than its rearward counterpart. Despite their age, the seats are still quite comfortable. The upholstery is thick and well cushioned, the seats reclining via the bar beneath the seat bottom. Padded armrests are built into the storage space and windowsill, each passenger's pillow found atop the seat. Add seat lighting is provided through a bright area and reading light above each passenger. The forward seat also includes a master light switch which rotates the room light through 3 settings: on, off, and night light. Next to the larger seat are the room's secondary storage area, the fan for the lower bunk, and a mechanical thermostat. Above that, we find an identical fan for the upper bunk and another master light control panel, beside which are 2 coat hangers. Inside the cubby beneath the armrest is the room's trash can and toilet paper holster for the in-room toilet. Between the seats are the 2 air vents, the room's table, safety information card, and complimentary water bottles. The rearward seat is almost identical to the other side, with the same area and reading lights, though it does include a speaker volume control, which I found didn't work. Easily the best feature of any Viewliner roomette is the full sink and vanity. The vanity above the sink includes a large mirror with a mirror light, towels, cups, soap, and a small countertop. Beneath the vanity, we find the room's built-in sink, beside which are the only 2 outlets for the roomette. Flipping the latch, the sink basin folds out across the top of the staircase. The basin is surprisingly large, with high-pressure hot and cold taps, the sink draining when closed. The water is drinkable if you're in a pinch, but I recommend sticking to the bottled water as best as possible. Beneath the sink is the other half of the bathroomette, the toilet. The in-room toilet is built into the bottom stair and is angled slightly outward toward the space between the seats. It's quite a small facility, and with the lower bunk down, I have no idea how you'd use it. Though that'll never be a problem for me, as I'll never use it. Instead, I opted to head back a car to the V2 bag dorm and use their toilets, as I personally don't like sleeping in my own bathroom. The main storage space in the Viewliner 1 is found above the roomette and extends over the central hallway. The space is large enough to store my carry-on, backpack, and camera bag with room to spare. Of course, if you're traveling with more or larger baggage, luggage can often be checked through to your final destination. Unlike their Superliner counterparts, each room in Amtrak's single-level fleet features 2 windows, one for the main seats and one for the upper bunk. The upper bunk located above the lower seats can easily be accessed by twisting the handle to release it. The bed smoothly rolls down on tracks from the ceiling thanks to spring-loaded support cables, making the process surprisingly straightforward. When fully lowered, the top bunk sits just below the upper window and has a unique shape to accommodate the stairs leading up. The bed offers decent comfort and is almost long enough for my 6'3" frame, although the foot of the bed is somewhat narrow. At the head of the bed, amenities for the upper bunk include a reading light, a small fan, a pocket for personal items, and a couple of coat hooks. While the Viewliner 1 roomette is comfortable, it's not nearly as nice as it should be, especially considering the price point. The old outdated fixtures and dirty upholstery is less than ideal, but a solution is coming. Amtrak has announced that the Viewliner 1s will receive a similar refresh treatment as the Superliner fleet, with new seat cushions, upholstery, carpets, drapes, and other quality of life improvements. The Crescent's route from New York to New Orleans isn't particularly scenic. The cold weather of today's trip means the trees are barren, our locomotives clearly visible ahead through the thin foliage. Our first taste of Alabama comes in Anniston and Anniston Army Depot. Out in the staging yard, we spot a few armored vehicles and a rare sighting of a US Army EMD GP-10 locomotive number 4614. Just beyond Anniston, we come to a halt alongside the main line, and I think you all know why. You guessed it, we're waiting for freight. Fortunately, it's a short delay before the main line comes to life, NS intermodal service trundling past. Not 10 minutes down the rails from Anniston Army Depot is Honda's Alabama manufacturing plant. The 1,350-acre facility produces pickup trucks and crossover SUVs for the North American market, and is the sole manufacturer of the Honda Odyssey, Passport, Pilot, and Ridgeline. For passengers in search of a snack between meals, the cafe car is where to look. Amtrak's long-distance Amfleet 2 cafe cars have removed the luggage racks above the seats, and each half of the car includes a couple tables for dining passengers. Amtrak's cafe car offers a variety of snacks, drinks, and larger food items for purchase, all at a fairly reasonable price. The conductor's booth is found tucked away at the end of the cafe, the space once used as a phone booth. Returning to our roomette, it's time for lunch. Lunch is selected from the same list of 5 options as dinner was the night prior. The beef burgundy is my choice this afternoon, and comes paired with the usual salad, roll, dessert, and beverage of choice. Alcoholic beverages are not complimentary during breakfast and lunch, so I went with another coffee to keep me going. Our main course, the beef burgundy, is served in a rich red wine sauce accompanied by a medley of vegetables and creamy mashed potatoes. Although the presentation may not be impressive, the stew is delicious. The sauce is savory with a hint of sweetness, and the beef is well seasoned. For dessert, I went with the ever-delicious butter cake. On approach to Birmingham, we pass by St. Louis and San Francisco Locomotive 4018, the engine placed on display outside the Sloss furnaces. The Sloss furnaces operated from 1882 to 1971, producing pig iron from 2 blast furnaces. In 1981, the furnaces were designated a National Historic Landmark, and in 2015, a visitor center was built, turning the furnaces into a historic museum of the industry of America. Birmingham, Alabama is the Crescent's next fresh air break. Although Birmingham has been serving passengers since before Amtrak began operating, the station recently saw a major improvement with the opening of the Birmingham Intermodal Facility in 2017. The new station consolidated the operations of intercity and local transit networks, bringing Amtrak, Greyhound, Megabus, and the local bus operator Max under one roof. Although we won't get to see inside the new station, the platforms did experience a bit of a refresh with new awnings and paint. Interestingly, Platform 1 appears to have been redone even more recently than 2017, despite the fact that Platform 2 is the one actually used by Amtrak services. My best guess is that Birmingham is looking to move operations from the outermost track to the innermost. Although there currently isn't any track laid along the far side of Platform 1, the track bed has been entirely reballasted from the end of the platform nearest us out to the connection point with the track our train sits on now. The one part I can't figure out is the strange half-island platform with trash cans along its length just beyond Platform 1. If anyone knows what's going on with Birmingham Station, do let me know in the comments below. Before we can investigate the station developments any further, the all aboard call is made. Crawling out of the station, we make it just to the edge of the platform before grinding to a halt, where we spot the fresh ballast leading to where a new track could go. The delay is short-lived as the signal ahead quickly changes to green. Amtrak advertises the Crescent as including free Wi-Fi, and while it does exist, the connection is incredibly spotty and the speeds are less than stellar. The network averages a download speed of 2.82 megabits per second, which is enough to browse the web, but good luck actually staying on the network long enough to get a website to load. Fortunately, we don't need the internet to stay entertained on today's ride. The window of our roomette provides a great view of many small towns and rural clusters of houses broken up by the forests of central Alabama. State number 11 on the Crescent is Mississippi, and Meridian is the first stop. 3 cars from the Meridian Railway Museum fill the window as we pull to a stop, but there's no time to hop out and take a look up close. While most of our Viewliner sleeper includes roomettes, the final third includes 3 bedrooms, 2 regular and 1 accessible. Rooms A and B are the 2 regular bedrooms, each of which is 6.5 by 7.5 feet or 200 by 230 centimeters. With 2 full-size beds and an armchair, there's more than enough space for 2 adults, with an option for a third. In their daytime configuration, bedrooms include 1 full-width sofa similar to our roomette. The widthwise orientation of the couch allows the bottom bunk to be much wider than either roomette bunk when converted to a bed. Above the sofa are an identical set of area and reading lights as our roomette, the lower bunk fan, thermostat, and attendant call button located near the door. The second bunk is stowed away during the day, folding down from the ceiling using the lever in the center. The upper bunk isn't as wide as its lower counterpart, but it's still much wider than either option in our roomette. Both the mattress topper and the upper bunk look pretty comfortable, with about 4 inches of bedding per bunk. There's also plenty of lighting controls up top with yet another air vent. Bedrooms include a full vanity and, more importantly, a private bathroom and shower. The vanity includes a trifold mirror, below which are 2 outlets, a sink with high-pressure taps, soap, towels, and cups. Beside the mirror is the medicine cabinet, which opens for a bit of extra storage. The room's trash can is found built into the cabinet beneath the vanity. Behind the vanity is the combination bathroom and shower, the door for which is tucked away in the corner. The small facility includes a toilet front and center with a flexible shower head mounted on the wall and towels tucked away above the toilet. It's super small, but it's nice to have a private facility. Storage space is very similar to the roomette. A cubby above the bathroom adds another suitcase and a half worth of storage to the already large hold above the outer hallway. For smaller belongings, 2 closets are found tucked away beside the door. The bedroom is hardly luxurious by any means, and looking at it, you get a feel for why Amtrak is looking to replace these coaches in the near future. At the front end of the car is the 3rd type of accommodation on Amtrak's single-level sleepers, the accessible bedroom. First off, the room is massive. It's about 9.5 feet long and 6.5 feet wide, or 290 by 200 centimeters. Stepping inside, we find a room similar to the regular bedrooms. The couch, closet, tray table, and storage setup are the same as in the bedroom. Heck, even the armrest for the rearward seat is still there, a clear sign of the cookie-cutter nature of these Viewliner cars. The combination bathroom and shower has been moved to create more space for mobility aid devices, the latter strapped to the wall upon entry. Instead, the bathroom is found on the wall opposite the couch. The accessible bathroom is enormous, with ample space to accommodate both a mobility aid device and a passenger. All of the controls are strategically positioned within arm's reach of a passenger on the toilet. The accessible bedroom is a fantastic facility for passengers with disabilities, though it, like the rest of the car, needs a refresh. Returning to our room, dinner is delivered. For our final meal on board the Crescent, I chose the chicken parmesan, which comes with breaded chicken, linguine, broccoli, and a helping of marinara sauce and parmesan cheese. The chicken is a little dry and tough in parts, but the flavor's pretty good. The linguine has gone hard in spots and the sauce is dehydrated a bit, both byproducts of the reheating process. The side salad and roll are what you expect, and the butter cake is a delicious way to wrap up the meal. As we enjoy our dinner, the bayous of the south begin to appear. Their frequency and size will increase as night falls and our train approaches Louisiana. The sun soon begins to disappear beyond the trees of the Mississippi bayous, the sky alight with beautiful oranges before turning out the lights. From here on out, it's all night running into New Orleans. Although nearly impossible to see, we soon begin our journey along the south shore of Lake Pontchartrain. A searchlight on the far shore illuminates the crests of the small waves, their reflections the only indication that we're traveling beside a body of water. Arriving on the other side of Lake Pontchartrain means we've only got another 20 minutes on board before we reach the Crescent's southern terminus in New Orleans. The final few miles come at a crawl, but our train eventually pulls into New Orleans Union Passenger Terminal 7 minutes early and 31 hours and 40 minutes after departing New York City. As our train unloads after a long journey, another gets ready for a long day ahead. On the opposite platform lies the consist for Amtrak's City of New Orleans. The train stabled here ahead of its 11:45 a.m. departure the following day. In fact, we'll be on that departure heading north, a little hint at a future journey. As we make our way inside the station building, it's time to bring today's adventure to a close. I want to give another massive shout out to Steve from How We Get Around and Spencer Adams for all of the amazing Northeast Corridor footage of our train. Next week, we'll be going international, flying in Premium Select from the US to South Korea on board a Delta A350. If you're new around here, I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. It's totally free and it really helps support the channel. Another huge shout out and thank you to my loyal patrons and members. Y'all are amazing and your incredible generosity is greatly appreciated. If you too want your name in the video or just want to support the channel in more ways than one, then head on over to the links in the description below. But anyways, that's all I have for today. Thanks for riding with me, and I'll see you in the next one.